What's going on, everybody? It is Sean Orr here and my man Tajik Bey. We are stepping in for Narco Cop. He's feeling a little bit under the weather, but we are here to deliver to you the best Lambo plays of this weekend's UFC card. Obviously, it's a smaller UFC card than anticipated. We had a lot of COVID cancellations, but there are definitely still many spots where you can look to purchase yourself a Lamborghini if you choose to. So how you doing today, Tajik?
I'm doing great, and thanks again. Familiar faces, new faces. It's great to see everybody. It's a premiere of the Lambo show in 2022. So it's great to be back and share our most improbable odds. So yeah, I'm look forward to it.
Well, I think there's definitely some good spots. Let's just start from the top and let's go with Charles Rosa versus TJ Brown. Obviously, the odds on my end were just released. So I literally just got them like the past 20 minutes for prop plays. Right. I'm going to kick it off to you first, and we'll go ahead and try and figure out a Lambo here.
Yeah, here we're looking at. I picked Rosa here, and although he's taking this fight on the short notice, his evasive style is convincing enough for me to think that it might go to a decision. And so if TJ goes early, and try to take Rosa down, and then it kind of I envision this kind of exchanges happening. If Rosa keeps it standing and just bounces around, I think he has a chance to take this one by decision. And so I picked him to win by decision. So right now, the prop that is available, at least on 5 dimes, to which we don't have an access to, is Rosa by decision, and it opened at plus 345.
Yeah, and you can currently get that one actually on FanDuel at plus 340. So if anybody uses that book, you can more than tail Tajik's play here with only a 5-cent difference, which is really good considering 5 dimes always has the best lines in the market. So FanDuel is competitive here. The fight is pretty interesting from my standpoint. Charles Rosa is coming in on short notice. I don't rate TJ Brown that highly personally. I think he's got a lot of flaws. I think he also makes a lot of mental mistakes in the octagon. However, that being said, if you look at the weigh-ins, you can clearly see that Charles Rosa did not train at all for this fight. He looked to be pretty out of shape compared to what Charles Rosa normally looks like. Whereas on the flip side, if you look at somebody like a Kevin Croom, he looked about appropriate to what he normally shows up as. And we had heard rumors that Croom was actually training for this fight. So for me, Charles Rosa is the type of guy that does get stuck on bottom consistently. He doesn't have the hips, and he prefers to play the guard game. So if I were going to go with a Lambo here, just taking the shot that Rosa is just totally unprepared, I would probably go with TJ Brown by KO rounds 1 and 2 at plus 550. That's just my personal Lambo play. I know for Mr. Narco here, we're going to go through his plays as well. He's going with Rosa by submission at plus 700. He actually commented it here. That's helpful. I think that's also a pretty decent look here too. But overall, this fight is pretty hard to predict. Do you have any final thoughts on that one?
No, I'm rooting for Rosa here. Hopefully he he wins here. Yeah, by decision would be great. But I see the possibility of a submission as well, and it's I think plus 700 is about accurate.
It's honestly not bad considering Rosa is going to be spamming submissions the entire time. So
I think it's all right, especially off of his back. Some meme like armbar from the guard type stuff. Yeah, it's possible.
I agree. So next one up, we've got another short notice fight. I alluded to it a little bit. It's going to be Kevin Croom versus Brian Kelleher. I'll kick this one off. I think it's just pretty evident if you watch the breadth of Kevin Croom fights. He's the type of fighter that gets tired down the stretch in almost every single fight. He does sloppy takedown attempts where he leaves his head right there to be choked. I think it's probably going to be in his best interest to keep this standing. However, I don't think he's going to have a lot of success. I don't think that Kevin Croom has a dynamic MMA game overall. So if it were me playing this in a Lambo format, I would probably be looking at a Brian Kelleher submission 2-3, which is plus 490. As Croom does get tired, he'll probably get subbed or knocked out. So I also don't mind the double round chances too, where if you just want to play 2-3 just outright, you can play those as well. But people have this idea that Kevin Croom, since he's a grappler, he doesn't get submitted, but he's been submitted by low-level competition on regionals throughout his entire career. Typically, it's in round 2 as he starts to fade. So I think it's a good look here. What do you think?
Ooh, like maybe at the higher level, I want to speak like today, like I was putting all of my predictions together, and it went like completely the opposite of what I'm hearing from like literally like, and it's almost like
not surprised.
Nine no, like maybe 60% of what I pick is sometimes coincide with the public, but here it's just complete. And I started getting messages that it's like, whoa, like this is so far out there to what I have. And I commented like, I think it's very different from what the most of the public picks, but I think Kroom here to me still despite his past setbacks and being submitted, and and knowing that Kelleher could choke him out, very probably could. I still think that the size is going to be a difference here, and Kroom has been training. He's been in a good shape. I was watching Jeff Molina today, and he was saying, yeah, he's fine. He's training. He came in shape. If you look at him, so he's ready to go. I just think it's going to go to a decision. That's why I think that if we're picking a Lambo bet here, it's going to be Kroom by decision. Right now, it opened up on FanDuel at plus 550.
It's not bad if you do have some belief in Kroom and his training. I don't think that that's a terrible look at all. So we'll be on we're going to be on opposite sides on that one, but I've learned to never doubt you. So I will tread carefully here. So the next one here is going to be Court McGee versus Ramiz Bramiha. Why are you wincing there?
No. I mean, I thought it can get worse with you butchering his name, but you just took it up a notch. You took it on the next level.
That's the authentico way you say it. So I'll let you kick this one off though, since I did the last one.
No, that's great. Jokes aside, I have Court like my initial my take. General, I think Court cruises to a decision. Everything on the paper screams Court, outside of the age and potentially chin being a liability at this point, which is kind of warranted only partially because he in his past 3 fights, Court has been knocked down twice, and are we gonna see him getting this meme KO'd? It's very possible, and I think it's more possible than right now, at least the odds suggest. If Brahimaj launches like some crazy overhand right and then just touches his chin, it's possible. I mean, at 37 everything is possible. So I would say Brahimaj opened by TKO KO at plus 1100. I don't know if it's still available, but boy oh boy, I mean that's I think it's a good Lambo bet if you're on the Brahimaj side.
I 100% agree with that. Again, I'm going to echo exactly what you said. I think that everything is pointing towards Court McGee having the sturdier overall MMA game, but it really boils down to age. And we know that as you get older, your chin goes, you start to get a little slower in the reflexes. And Brahima is a very young, hungry guy, doesn't have the best hands, but we can see somebody who's young level up their game and surprise somebody like Court. Again, this is going to be a massive step down in competition for Court McGee, but you still can secure if you want to play on Tajik's Lambo, and I'm going to echo the same thing. You can still play Ramiz KO 1 and 2 at plus 1200, which I do think that he's largely front loaded in this fight because Ramiz does get tired. And Court McGee is an ex heroin addict, so they don't feel any sort of pain. They don't get tired, and they're almost like zombies out there. These heroin guys. So I do think if Ramiz is going to win this, it's going to be a front loaded KO 1 or 2. What are your thoughts on that?
I actually like it even more than my KO TKO bet, right? Just because most of his, I think, KO or kind of a stoppage equity is in that first and second round. And I think in this third round, if it goes, this is probably going to be Court's round more so than Brahimash's round. And I don't think he can put Court away in the third. But I actually loving this, bet more so even than the one that I have proposed. So yeah.
And that's currently available. So anybody wants to tail this line of thinking, you can play that on FanDuel right now. But we'll move on to the next one. Next fight on the docket here is Jamie Pickett versus Joseph Holmes. I think it's I don't know if it qualifies for a Lambo bet, but I am going to be picking Pickett by points. You can get it at plus 300. Maybe it's a small Lambo. Maybe it's is there such a thing as a small Lambo? I guess an Audi, and you can get an Audi with this, but you can play it for plus 300. I think that largely Pickett has the opportunity to control this fight with the wrestling if he chooses to. But again, Pickett is kind of a timid, tentative fighter, and this is, I think, mostly going to be playing at range, where these guys are going to throw a combined strike total of 40 strikes over the course of the fight, and who the hell knows who's going to win it. I think if you have access to some of these split decision props, I would definitely take a look at those as well. I just don't have the odds in front of me. So what are your thoughts here with this, Tajik?
I like Holmes' side here a little bit more now. I went like back and forth, like really back and forth. I'm still not sure which way it's going to go, but I ended up taking Holmes by decision.
What are the odds on that?
Holmes by decision on DraftKings, at least it was at plus 350.
Okay, so slightly better than the plus 300. So you can maybe buy a nicer Mercedes or something like that.
Yeah, it's not bad, and I think it's possible that it goes to decision and Holmes takes it. So because we said this before, because with Pickett it's a bit tough. Or I actually like teams bet as well here, like split decision.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. I think that those are good numbers. I think it's going to be a close fight.
Yeah, it is, and I think I think it actually goes to decision. I heard Holmes saying that he's gonna put him away, but I don't know how he does that. I mean, in general, Pickett, unless you blitz him, is pretty, durable, but he tends to suppress, his opponent's opposition. I mean, I kind of the asterisk here is that I suspect that he has some kind of a, head injury. Like I said before, I don't like how he reacts to being hit in the head. So we'll see how it goes. I don't think Holmes is going to be able to put him away. So Holmes by decision is the play here. And I like team stake with the split decision actually here on the either side.
Those are great odds.
I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention here because I glossed over it. Narco does have Brahima by decision plus 275. And he also has Holmes by decision plus 350. I think that Brahima pick is absolutely asinine. I wish he was on here so I could scream in his face. But Narco is feeling under the weather, so he and I will take that to the DMs. So next fight up is going to be Bill Algio versus Joe Anderson Brito. What are your thoughts? Kick this one off.
So I ended up picking Algio, thinking that at some point, down the line, he's going to be able to put Brito away. And I'm probably going to get a lot of heat and, nasty messages once it doesn't materialize.
You're used to it.
but I'm used to it. Absolutely,
Yeah.
feel free. I'm bulletproof. You can send it as many as you want.
I mean, look at you right now. You're dressed up as like an assassin or a bank robber. I'm surprised people are so confident sending messages to such an intimidating person that I'm looking at right now.
No, that's actually my pajama. So like that's
Oh, you sleep like that.
yeah. I was born like that actually. Uh, I joke. So
No, he doesn't. True story.
so that's a good one. But jokes aside, Algio I think has Algio I think he can sub Brito.
Yes.
He can tire him out and he can sub them. Can he sub him early? I don't think so, but I think he can sub him late. So this is probably gonna be the Lamboest plays that I have made this season. I like Algio wins by submission in round 3 at 3,200 right now on FanDuel, which is wow, yeah.
That's a couple Lambos.
That's Capo's Lambos right there, and I'm seeing that Narco has Algio round 3. Yeah, that's his play.
Plus 1,600. So
yeah,
everybody's thinking the same thing because guess what? I already placed a bet on Algio sub 3 at plus 3,200.
Did
I
you
also,
really?
I have the tickets in front of me. And I have Algio by round 3 plus 1,600 as well. It's just kind of a no-brainer. What I did here was that I got the early Brito line. So I got Brito at plus 100. And what I was able to do was I was able to arb out with Algio at plus money. So I'm taking those profits and looking at upside. For anybody who bets in this space, arbing your bets and predicting line movement is one of the most underutilized things. I'll make money and scalp money from doing that frequently and have several free plays on a card. This is going to be one of them for me. That entire play is free, and I think the odds are insane. Plus 3,300 against a guy who is probably going to gas against a really scrambly, tough and gritty fighter and Bill. I think it's a must play. So if you haven't already played it, definitely open up FanDuel and play that. Do you have any final thoughts on this one? Narco's adding in. He says Algio's got a good tank. I agree with him.
Yeah, and I think MMA Monk has been putting out the stats that we made the joke yesterday that Algio was taken down 20 times, but he's the fighter who got up 20 times, and I think it was hilarious. But in there actually lied the stat that in terms of the get up game, Algio is like top 6 overall in the UFC in the entire roster in terms of getting up, which I find to be respectful, right? I mean, we do have, and I think it maybe probably includes the fact that the amount of time that he spends on the ground, and I think I don't know what exactly went into this kind of his get up game ability and his ranking, but I think it's commendable that he's so far out there in terms of his get up game. So that's why I like him. And Brito is, of course, we're gonna know. I mean, he looks like he looks like in his best shape of his life, and yeah, it's a tough one for Algio, but I think he can take it. So yeah, we'll close it.
Yeah, Brito is in good shape. He is sponsored by the Farmacia de Brasilia, but Bill Algio is not at all a joke, and those takedown stats are pretty impressive considering he's fought Ricardo Lamas, he's fought Spike Carlisle. These are guys that hunt for takedowns. So I do like that stat. I hadn't seen that, so definitely shout out to, it was Monk Matician, right?
Like Monk Matician, yeah. I think he put it out there that in terms of the get up game, like Algio is like the top 6 or something like that.
He's great. Yeah. I've seen his account. I believe I follow him. I just don't know how to pronounce it. Like many names. So the next fight we have here is Dakota Bush versus Vyacheslav Borishev. Pretty good?
Spot on.
I'll call him Slava. Yeah, I pretty much did what I think a lot of people have done here. Maybe not you, but I am playing the later KO props for Slava. I know that Narco has a play KO2 at plus 625. I have the same play. I also have KO3 at plus 1000. Simply put, I went into the week thinking I was going to be betting Bush. I have seen Slava struggle with some takedowns. Then I went to the tape and I saw how Bush wrestles. He is definitely a high school caliber wrestler. He is going to be nothing that Slava hasn't already seen. In fact, Slava has already faced better wrestlers than Bush in the LFA. He had some struggles, but he also showed some pretty good intelligence with it as well. Good at putting his feet on the hips, good at working up, pretty reliable to dig underhooks. So I do think that that Contenders Series fight really left a stinky image in many people's minds, mine included. But then when you actually watch the tape and you see that Bush is pretty much just a blitzing double leg, then bust kind of guy, you realize that Slava should not have any issue at all stopping these takedowns. If he does, it's going to be a huge problem for him in the UFC because I personally do not think Bush is UFC level. What are your thoughts?
I go off. By the way, Tim also mentioned that on the Brito side that he's not really he's pretty a dirty fighter, and so I think 20-1 odds on the points being taken. I think it's a great bet also.
It's on DK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that, unfortunately. I would play that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, 20-1, I think is because with the eye pokes, with the that's very possible. But on the Bush side here, I'm going back and forth because not in terms of the whether Bush wins or not. I think he has a path to victory, and it resides mainly like in grappling and the wrestling. Borshev. I listened to Jeff Molina today, who trains with Dakota, and he said that he has never seen Dakota in this shape. He's in the best shape of his life, best shape. And according to him, that his plan, he knows what he needs to do in order to beat Borshev. So he has a game plan. He's been working on, I'm assuming, with James Krause. I'm going back and forth between the submission and the decision. I don't know if he can submit Slava necessarily, but I'm gonna go with that. If you feel more if you're on the Bush side, you can try him by decision. I think decision odds is actually pretty good too, which is like plus 500 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Bush by decision is actually plus 400. But I do like Bush by sub, and it's actually, when I was looking into it on FanDuel, it was plus 650. So I don't know if he had got pummeled, but this is what it was available at. I like it. I like Bush by sub at plus 650.
So I don't necessarily think that Jeff Molina is probably the best source to be talking about people at his gym. Of course, he's going to say that. I could call up Uriah Faber and say, hey, Uriah, how does Slava look? And he's going to say best shape of his life. The bottom line is I've seen Bush struggle physically with people on the regional scenes. And what I mean by that is losing in the wrestling exchanges, losing in the clinch. So this is a fight, again, if you're going to take the Tajik side, me personally, I'd roll with sub. I don't think Bush is going to have this for the entire fight, but he could sub Slava if he gets him down. If he finds the dominant positions, I could 100% see that angle, and I think it's a good line. But you guys roll the dice either way. I'm going with those late KO props. The next one we have is an absolute banger of a fight. This one is Jennifer Maia versus Caitlin Chikadze. The fans asked for it. Dana delivered. The rematch is finally here. What's your Lambo play for this one, sir? I'm sure you have a big one.
I do because I think Maia still has a chance. And we know it's going to go to a decision. So if you have a DraftKings, why not Maia by split decision at plus 1,000? That's
Can't argue with that.
Yeah, no.
First fight was close. Second fight's probably going to be close.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm a huge fan of this matchup just in general, and so I hope Maya wins this one, and we're gonna see the trilogy fight. So I'm craving for that one.
You heard it here first. Tajik, big Maya and Chikagian fan right here. You're looking at him. Honestly, I think this fight is a complete dumpster. From a betting standpoint, I wouldn't put a single cent on it personally. But if I had to play a Lambo here, it'd probably be those split props because I do think it's going to be close. If you want to get kind of frisky with this, I think Chikagian by submission at plus 1600 is not a bad look. She has shown in the past that she does have a nice brown belt level jiu-jitsu game, but I know she's let people down in the past playing the sub prop. I think it was Antonina Shevchenko. She almost had a submission on her and it did not come to fruition. But I do think that if those grappling exchanges do happen, and if Chikagian wants to entertain it, I would say that it's not a bad look. But for me, this is overall a pass. And I see that for Narco, this is going to be an overall pass. So 2 people trumps 1, Tajik. So everybody on this pod is passing. All right, well, let's look at the next one here. We've got Brandon Roy Val versus Rogerio Bonterine. I'll do this one first. Pretty obvious for me. Bonterine's a better grappler than Roy Val. I think that there's a possibility he could consolidate half guard, really drag this fight into a slower tempo. People are getting really concerned about the cardio, myself included, but whatever. Gambling's a game of chance, and Bonterine could show up getting tired in rounds 2 and 3. But from a technical standpoint here, I actually think Bonterine is the better boxer. I think he's the better grappler. He's going to be physically stronger. So I played the decision line for Bonterine. I believe I got plus 430 or plus 450, something like that. I'd have to look through my tickets. But I think it's kind of an asinine line. I mean, people are really overrating the under on this fight. Personal, it's a flyweight fight, folks. Chill out. Like, you don't have to go for these crazy props. But I want to hear what you have on this end, and then I'll say Narcos play.
Yeah, I do have Bonterine by decision as well. And if you're on the DraftKings side and you feel extra giddy, the Bonterine by unanimous decision on DraftKings opened at plus 550, and I think it got shut down. I'm not sure where it's at right now, but I think it's also a viable play. Bonterine by unanimous, yeah, it's plus 500 right now. So
what about split? What's split at?
Split is actually Bonterine by split is plus 1200, which I think is also not bad. Yeah, I think that's why I kind of like between going with I think it's safer just to go with Bonterine by decision. I like your play. Unanimous is a bit riskier, given the fact that potentially, if Bonterine's cardio fails in the third, it's going to look close and it can go either way, so it could go to a split. Yeah, I think it's worth taking a shot if you're on the Bonterine side, even if you're on the Roy Val side. But I said this also before, just in general, Bonterine Roy Val rather has so many finishes. Because at some point, he's finishing rate and his opponents, finishing him like this, it has to regress. It has to come down to fights going. After all, I mean, they're fighting at 125.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and when it happens, people are going to be like, oh, how it went to a decision, blah, blah, blah. I think it's easily, has a potential go to a decision. I also like Team Stake that Roy Val goes for the finish or finishes fights or gets finished. But I think he also spoke recently about the fact that he wants to take a more calculated approach. And I don't know. I don't think he knows what it looks like exactly for him. And Bonterine, I think, knows how to take more measured approach, especially after his Schnell fight.
Oh yeah.
And And as if we're talking about the Bonterine versus Roy Val, I offered a $100 bet that Bonterine is going to make weight, and I have seen a couple of chat messages that accepted my bet that Bonterine is not going to make weight. So please reach out to me on my messages in Twitter. I'm gonna give you guys my PayPal, and just feel free to wire $100, per hour bet. So that's all I have to say.
You look like a debt collector right now. There's so many roles with this outfit that I think it matches.
Well, I like if yeah, it's just a reasonable ask, right? Like
It is, yeah, and I can tell that you've broken a few kneecaps in your day. So if people are going to mess with that, then
no, we
they
go
better
for the
face the
we go
danger.
no, it's not my personality. Say we go for a principle that bet is a bet, right? So like we'll keep it at that. But
Okay, all
yeah.
right. Well, I want to note that despite everything that we have said, Narco is on the opposite take here. He is going to be doing Roy Val KO2. It's plus 1,800. I don't hate the odds. It's just I do think that based on what Roy Val has been saying, based on how good Bonterine is grappling wise, I do think that this is Bonterine's fight to lose personally from a technical standpoint. But I don't hate that look or those odds. So if that's available, that's worth a poke as well. Don't hate it. I think the next fight we have up, is this the supposed to be the main event? Yeah, it is. Chase Sherman versus Jake Collier. I'll let you kick this one off since I did the last one.
Yeah, I'm a huge Shermanator fan. In my heart, he's still like 6-0 in his past 6 fights.
Top 5.
Top 10.
Top 10.
We have to be realistic, right? So I think if he fixes his mental game, like he can be okay. I think heavyweight division in the UFC is one of the worst. It has ever been. I mean, just to think that after all these years, it's been Arlovsky has been fighting for almost like 2 decades, right?
Yes.
And the guy he's near top 3 right
Yes.
now.
Yes, he is.
I mean, he would have been contender. I mean, did he lost his last fight? No, was it Aspinall or something? But
he actually, I think his last fight was he actually beat Sherman.
Did he really? Oh
He beat
yeah. But imagine if he beat Aspinall. I mean, then they give him Derek Lewis, and then he fights for a title.
He was coming back against Aspinall too.
But that's the point, right? So when we say like guys like Sherman potentially is like a top 15, top 10 caliber. I mean, it's a joke, but in that joke only part is like it's partially a joke, because it's very easy to succeed right now in the heavyweight division. When you look through the lens of, like I said, most of the fighters. I mean, there's this cream of the crop, like the Gunn and and Ganus and Parker Porker. But outside of that, outside of that top 3, it's very high. Everything else is kind of like all the others are lagging behind. But Sherman is up there, so he has a chance. Like I said, I'm a big fan. I'm on the Sherman hype train, and I'll just stay there. I like him by decision. And Shermanator by decision right now on DraftKings, by the time when I was capturing this bet, was at plus 330 on DraftKings.
Still is on FanDuel. So if you want to play that, you can still play it. I think you only made one misstep in your analysis, and that's you named Francis Ngannou before Parker Porker. People don't understand what level of talent it takes to survive the onslaught of Parker Porker. And Sherman did that in his last fight. And people have been using it against him. Oh, he was getting ragdolled. Oh, he was getting his head pinballed around the cage. Well, listen, once Parker gets his shot at Francis, if Francis doesn't leave the UFC and run away from Parker, you guys are going to know that loss that Sherman had, it's nothing to scoff at all. Don't you agree?
Yeah, do you that I actually wanted to ask you this, but don't you think the part of the reason why Ngannou wants to not to extend his contract is because Parker Porker is there and it's a viable threat to his throne?
I just mentioned that. Okay. I think we're on the same page here, because that Ngannou, with all the downtime, was definitely watching the UFC prelims, and he saw what Porker has been doing. And I mean, it strikes fear in any man, including Ngannou.
if I'm Gano, I'm taking Tyson Fury in boxing, then taking Parker Porter in the MMA fight. So we'll leave it at that.
Well, if he's smart and has a good manager, that would be the way to do it. This is going to be a really boring analysis because all three of us agree on this. Sherman by decision plus 330 is probably the best play for this. Collier is a 185-pound man who's morbidly obese. He has fought other smallish heavyweights in Felipe and Villante, and it's not like he looked like a powerhouse out there. Yes, Collier can throw up volume. Yes, he does a lot of unique things for heavyweight, but he simply does not have the endurance as a natural heavyweight. And I do think that Sherman's going to give him a lot of problems with some leg kicks here. So I love that decision play.
Yeah, me too. And it's great that we have a like-minded people that think that the Porker is just, is much bigger of a threat to Ngannou than Gunn is. So yeah.
Mbe is one of my favorite, and that's some sharp analysis.
100%.
So I love that. The last fight of the night, we have Mr. Calvin Kattar versus Gekka Chikadze. Since you started off the last one first, I will start this one off. And I have a play that some really smart people close to me have kind of been poo-pooing. I've heard that people in New England don't wrestle. They don't grapple. It's just not in their blood. They don't do it. However, that being said, if this fight goes late, or if Giga has to shoot a takedown at any point, which is possible, he could get his bell rung, or let's imagine that Kattar actually decides, hey, I'm going to implement an intelligent game plan here, and I'm going to wrestle this guy and use my jiu-jitsu against him. I do think that the Calvin Kattar by submission line is absolutely asinine. You can get Calvin Kattar's submission plus 3,100 at FanDuel. That's giving him what, like a 2-3% chance of hitting it? I mean, you really can't go wrong by doing small sizing on a play like that. And a play like this is not a play that most people would see on the surface. They see, okay, Calvin Kattar never goes for submissions. That's true, but just because something hasn't happened doesn't mean it's never going to happen.
Right.
Everybody does things that they've never done in MMA. It happens in everyone's career. We are going to see Francis Ngannou hit a Peruvian necktie at one point. It's just fact. Well, on the Giga Chikadze side, we know that he struggles with grappling. So if somebody who's competent decides to play a more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu intensive game against him as he's fatigued in those later rounds, I do think that this is a good look. It's a Lambo play. Unload the bankroll on it. Gamble responsibly. But what is your take here? Are you going to be on the Giga submission?
No, I'd rather have Parker Porter submitting Ngannou betting that one than betting.
Well, that's an auto play, though. I don't know why you're using that as an example.
No, yeah, but I'd rather play that over Kattar submission. But jokes aside, Kattar by submission I think is possible. Although I think, in my opinion, I think if tired, Giga is a human, and so I took actually Kattar around 3, 4, and 5. I'm just checking the odds. I took him at the it was at plus 1,200, I believe. So this was, I think, to me, is because
that's a solid play.
Yeah, because if you look at it around 1, 2, I think he cannot put him away. But if you giving extra rounds like round 3, 4, and 5 for Kattar, who has a finishing upside at 1,200. I mean,
it's insane. Where'd you get this?
I got it on
your local bookie.
On FanDuel.
Schmitty.
No, on FanDuel.
FanDuel has that?
FanDuel has that. Yes, absolutely. If you check FanDuel, they go like KO. They go rounds and KO props. It's like they're like mixed together. So it offers round Kattar around 3, 4, and 5 at plus 1,200, which I think is insane.
That's a very good line. I did not see that, and I was just actually at FanDuel. So now I'm going to waste some gas and probably go place that bet.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not bad take at all, because if you think about it, and I understand the Giga part is like he's hard to get to him, hard to get his chin, get him, put him away. But again, like if he's tired, he either gonna sub him like you're suggesting, proposing, or Kattar, is gonna sub him, or he's gonna put him away. I take that he's probably would take a more joy and comfort in putting Kattar away, and so we make a solid case for a Max Holloway rematch. So
that's true.
well,
He does need to make a statement. I failed to mention that in the Brian Kelleher Kroom analysis. Brian's going to be hunting for a bonus here. So keep that in mind when you're playing that fight. It's a short notice fight. And Brian, if you follow him on Twitter, he totally understands the game and the money angle. Narco's play here is pretty similar. It's Kattar 4 plus 2,900, Kattar 5 plus 3,600. Those are great plays too. Those are great numbers. He's basically just eliminating round 3 from the bet, and I think that that's worthy of some money as well if you want to load more at the back end. Overall, Kattar is the side for me.
agree.
Do you have any final thoughts on this one?
No, no. I think Mushroom was asking if we have a parlay. I mean, off the top of my, yeah, I do have.
I do too.
Yeah, so why don't you go with yours first?
So I did place a parlay. Let me find it here. I mean, you can't join the Lambo Bets podcast without throwing a little cheddar on a parlay. So my parlay here was Bill Algio, submission round 3 plus 3,200, parlayed with Rogerio Bonterine on points plus 420. And the odds for that combined, they don't write it here. So let me do the math. I think it's like 14,000 or something. So let me do the math. Go ahead with yours while I do that.
Yeah, I made the longer parlay, but Mushroom, if you don't capture this one, I mean, you can check this recording or just ping me on Twitter and I'll share it with you. So I took money line Charles Rosa, Bill Algio by TKO or submission. Well, Algio inside the distance, you can do that. FanDuel, for some reason, I think doesn't offer that. But double chance on Bill Algio, Dakota Bush by sub, Jennifer Maya by points, Bonterine by points. I have Chase by KO, and
Wow.
and Kelvin Kattar round 3, 4, and 5.
Wow. That's definitely looking
And
to buy a Lambo for literally everyone in your city.
yeah, so $10 will pay you $795,040.39. So yeah, you can get the Lambo with that.
That's pretty amazing. You're gonna have to send that one, put that one up on your Twitter because I'm gonna definitely tail that one. It looks pretty sharp. I like Narcos Algio round 3, Roy Val KO2, Borishev KO2. I'd probably replace Roy Val KO2 with Bonterine by decision.
My decision, yes.
But that's just me. I can't figure out the odds. It looks like Action Calculator makes you register now. But I can tell you this much. I put a cool $5 on it because I'm really confident. That's a max bet for me. You know all about my situation, how I'm living in the trailer in Arizona. So $5 is about 50 units for my bankroll. So that's going to pay out $858, which means that I can finally feed my family. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's awesome.
Do you have any final thoughts on this card overall? Want to do a shout out?
I'm glad we're back. I mean, thanks so much to everybody for joining. I think the key here, we will be here, doing the shows continue. It's so great that now you're joining us, Sean. It would be great to have like all 3 of us joining and and taking continuing doing the Lambo bets. It's a great show with the familiar faces, with new faces, guys. I think the key here right now is for all of you is to wish for Narco to feel better, cheer him up. This is awesome that he has what he has created, this channel. Sub definitely to his channel. as we will continue to create, and offer more and more content, on the Lambo side, and yeah, that's all I have to say. What about you?
Yeah, I'm just going to echo a little bit of the same. I think it's big props to Narco for treating this like a professional show, getting some substitutes in here to help him out. Hope he feels better. Everybody gamble responsibly this weekend, or irresponsibly, as I do. And I hope that we have some good fights. There's only 10 of them. So hopefully they all stay together. And yeah, we move into UFC 270 next weekend.
This is
All
awesome.
right.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Well, everybody, enjoy your weekend. I'm pretty sure that Narco has to stop the show. If not, do you have access to stop the show, or are we stuck here in purgatory?
No, we're gonna have to.
I got it.
There he is.
Our producer is there. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everybody for joining. A great energy, great vibes, and as always, thanks everybody. Take care.
Best of luck.